Where do I begin? Well, when I was a little girl, I was an obstinate child. My mom would say up and I would say down. She would say sit and I would stand. It actually did not work for me. It was a bad choice, but she was tickled about it. And she was a funny lady. She had this funny thing about her elbow. She thought that it could predict the weather. And so occasionally she would go, my elbow's feeling creaky. I think it's gonna rain. And my smart mouth would look out the window and go, yeah, I'll just wait to hear the thunder. I reasoned, after all, that her elbow wasn't always accurate, but let's face it, the thunder never lies. Well, it's Passover, and I love Passover. It's one of my favorites. As a Jewish family, we tried to celebrate them all, but Passover was always really special. And part of it was just our identity, the idea that we were set apart and that we were saved, and boy did we wear that name tag. And I needed to see him, Jesus. Everybody did. He was in Jerusalem. And there was something about my identity as a Jew and my belief about God and Jesus that were like two puzzle pieces that looked like they were going to fit, but I hadn't connected the dots yet. And so some people were there because they were curious. Maybe there was just passerbys, and then other people were desperate to see him, and I think that was me. Well, the crowd was fussing, to be honest. We were shoulder to shoulder. And some of us were pushing and some of us were crying out, and we were all eager to see him. And that made sense to me. I was surrounded by my kinsmen, my fellow Jews. I know why we're curious to see him. But when I saw the Greeks show up, that was curious to me. And when I saw them approach Philip and speak to him briefly, I thought, now that's interesting that someone outside our culture is also eager to hear him. And then he showed up, and the crowd hushed, and we leaned forward, and we are drinking in every word he is saying as if we're dying of thirst. And then he says something kind of curious that stumped me at first. He was talking about things to come, and he started with, "My soul is troubled." And that got my attention right away. And then he said almost to himself, "What am I gonna do? Say to my Father, take me from this hour? No, I was made for this hour. Father, glorify your name." And this statement, I'm still trying to absorb it and understand it, and it's resonating through my skull, and something extraordinary happened. A clap of thunder happened in such a manner that it was like God's foot had just come down on the earth and rattled me to my core. My very ribs were shaking and my heart was crying out in response, and I knew at that moment my two puzzle pieces went like this. And I knew that was God responding to his son. It was like he said, "Oh, I will glorify my name and I will glorify it again." It was extraordinary. This wasn't some rolling noise, kind of distant thunder that was super common to everyone. This was an event. And I am having a moment, right, where I'm beginning to understand the bigness of it. And someone behind me uses a smart voice, much like my own when I was young, and says, "Looks like it's gonna rain." And I whipped around and I said, that was God. That was a triumphant noise. That was God sending electricity through the air in anticipation of things to come. You have no idea. That was no creaky elbow thunder. That was a come to Jesus thunder.